All right. This is my leadership essay presentation. I just want to go and take the moment and let you know that this will cover basically what I talked about in my paper, and I hope you enjoy it. So let's get on with the presentation. Core values are something that are really strong to me. Being in a fraternity and all, I have several core values that my fraternity has taught me and that I've learned throughout life that I feel a great leader should possess. And with these core values, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be a perfect leader by any means, but you will, have those strong traits that can help you move forward and, take it to the next level when becoming a leader. So I'm going to start with the first one is high ambition. I think high ambition, is very important to have because it's, as a leader, you have to have that ambition to be the leader, to seek, the next level, to get to the next level. Without ambition, you're leading a lost cause for the most part, Without having like a place to strive for, something to strive for, it's basically not worth it in the end. I think that if a leader lacks ambition, they're not really a leader. But like I said in my paper, not everyone doesn't. If I don't get president, doesn't mean I'm not a leader in the chapters in general. A leader can be anyone in the organization. A leader can be the lowest of the low or the highest of the high. It's just the person that has a title. People look to them as being a leader, but it could be anyone else. It doesn't have to necessarily be. You don't have to have a title to be a leader. The next core value that I really hold near and dear to me is courtesy. I think courtesy when you are a leader goes along hand in hand with my next one, which I'll talk about, which is fidelity. But going back to courtesy, courtesy is one of those things where leaders have to be in the mindset to remember where they came from and be humble. I think humility is a major part where majority of the leaders kind of forget where they came from and tend to try to run their own agendas. And having that courtesy and being courteous to others, to your constituents and your followers is very important within an organization because that creates a level of trust, and your followers tend to start to do that. They follow you. They believe in you. They trust that you're doing what they ask and doing what they want and not trying to run your own agenda. I'm going to proceed with the next slide, which is also my core values. Continue. I didn't have room to fit them on here, but I think self-control is a major one. Anyone that's a leader has to have self-control, just flat out. You're gonna be put in situations when you are a leader that you're gonna have to keep a level mind. You have to keep an open mind. You know, as a leader, you're elected to that position to basically control the organization in a way to where you direct them where to go and you kind of give your input along the way. And some of the stuff that they might not agree with, your constituents might not agree, that you might not agree with what your constituents are saying, but you still have to follow it because they elected you to that position. If your organization is a democratic style leadership, but I think going on with self control, if you're like a democratic style leader, self control is a major one because you might not agree with what your constituents are saying, like I said, but you still have to follow and listen to what they say because they're the ones that voted you there, and they're the ones that say this is what's going to happen because they voted for that to happen. And you just have to keep an open mind and remember that you're there to serve them and not to follow your own rules and your own agenda. And lastly, one of my core values was fidelity. Fidelity to principle is one of those things where you have to stay true to yourself and and in turn, if you stay true to yourself, you'll stay true to your followers and to your constituents. Having that trust that the followers that your followers trust you in such a way that if you make a decision that is, a spur of the moment decision that has to be made for the organization, that they will trust that you made the right decision. Without fidelity, you're not going to have a well-rounded leader. I think these are almost the essential core values that a leader needs to have in order to accomplish their goals. And basically, if you know, try to make your own agenda and follow your own agenda instead of following what you got elected to do, your followers tend to not believe in the relationship that you have. The next thing is my vision statement. Vision statement for me is way more important than the mission statement because I think a vision statement's over a elongated period of time. And with a vision statement, my own personal vision statement is something that I plan on focusing on more than my mission statement because it's like I said, it's over 3 to 5 years. It's a longer duration, and you can see more achievements happening and each goals being set. Without a vision statement, there's really no track. You don't have like a way to follow what you're doing. And if I'm trying to say that if you don't have a vision statement, you basically have nothing. My vision statement is I want to utilize my skills as a leader to move up in whatever company I may be part of in the current time, 3 to 5 years from now, whether that be in, whatever job I'm working or wherever. I want to utilize the skills that I learned in college as a leader to help better the organization that I'm a part of in the next 3 to 5 years. Also, I think it's crucial to have a leader that continues to learn. I think that learning is a big thing. The continuum of learning is something to become a good leader. You learn to become. You don't just stop learning ever. And I think that continuing to learn to be a leader is very important to do because without that, it's basically you get stuck in your rut. And leadership is something that changes very fast and changing all the time. And I think that if you continue to learn and how to become a better leader, I think that's very important. I also really want to help. I want to try to give speeches to students and other maybe Greek letter societies to, just about leadership in general. Because I really like leadership. I like the whole theory behind it, and I think it's really cool. And lastly, leaders aren't born overnight. It takes time for them to learn and work up to eventually get to the top. I don't expect myself to be, the top dog in 3 to 5 years after I graduate. I know it's going to take time, and I'm okay with it. I think that if you are patient and work your butt off, you'll eventually get what you want in this life, and I'm a firm believer in that. Next is my mission statement. My personal mission statement is very similar the one that I have for my fraternity. The personal I really want to establish myself as the best candidate as a leader for my fraternity's president position. I plan on I've already showed in the chapter now that I am a leader in the chapter that I might not hold a very high office. I'm currently the recruitment chairman, but that even though that I don't hold that high of an office, I still have an influence on other things that are going on within the chapter because I've been around a while and I have that leadership role that that helps when people turn to when something's happening. They turn to, well, what would you do in this situation? I really think that setting a mission for whatever organization you're part of or for your own personal self is very important because without a mission, you're kind of just going through the motions of whatever you're doing. And setting a mission, is very important. Also, I want to say, some people do get the mission statements and the vision statements confused sometimes. Mission statement is the ones that are very immediate, and the vision statements are 3 to 5 years in the future. And I just want to go ahead and separate those two. And I think it's very important to, like I said, just establish a vision and a mission statement for your organization and for your own self, because it just keeps you on track. It has those benchmarks that are set, and it shows that you are making progress and strives to where you want to be. Uh, Lastly, my leadership style is very unique. Like I said, I hold the recruitment office for my fraternity, and I would say I'm a democratic style leader. This style definitely has its advantages and disadvantages. Trust me, I've seen it all. Um, I like to not exactly make the decision like fully. I like to put my input in and talk to the chapter as a whole and be like, well, this is what I think we should do. What do you guys think we should do? And like to have a discussion, meaningful discussions, and in the end, bring it to a chapter vote to whether we're going to move forward with this action or not. I think that some of the challenges with the democratic style leadership is that the overall voting process is very time consuming. In itself takes you have to have a discussion, you have to have vote ballots, all that kind of stuff. And another big disadvantage is you have people that start politicking, people that start playing politics, and they don't want this to pass unless this passes. And that's what I just don't like that stuff. Like they say, well, we're not going to pass this unless this passes. And I think that if it's something that needs to be passed, it should definitely be passed. But I think that people try to work their own agenda too many times, and that's when the democratic style leadership turns to it's just overwhelming. That's one of the challenges. However, though, it does have its several advantages, in my opinion. One of the things that I think that the democratic style leadership does is it creates transparency within the organization and its leaders. Basically, everyone's kept up to date with what's going on within the organization, and the organization reports to its constituents, the voters, or whatever it may be. In this case, it's our fellow brothers in the chapter, and they tell them what's going on in the chapter. They keep it very transparency, and I think that's very important to do when you're looking for a way to continue on moving forward. Lastly, I really think that another advantage is control and guiding the conversations into a positive way. Basically, the leader, elected official, is meant to have their input and control the conversation in such a way that it keeps a good flow, very positive manner, and doesn't veer too much off track. I think that very firm believer in the voting process that if the chapter or whatever it may be, the people want to do it this way, they do it this way. As sometimes as a leader, you're gonna have to step up and be like, okay, we can't do this because this and this and this. I'm sorry, but like it's not feasible. But majority of times, the people in an organization know how to the right decision to make, and the right decision and the decision they make is in turn very is good. So this is just a short little summary type thing of my leadership styles and the advantages and disadvantages of it. I really enjoyed this paper and this class overall this semester. I learned a lot from it, and I really made me evaluate my leadership style and how I am as a leader, and really got me thinking. And I really thank you for having me in your class this semester, and I hope you have a good remainder of the year. Thank you.